Buckley.
Hi.
So, what are your overall impressions of the Webit conference to start off?
Well, I think the overall impression is that obviously digital is really kind of happening here. It's probably a little bit behind Western Europe, and as far as mobile is concerned, I think probably we're a year too early. It's on certain people's agendas, but the volume isn't there, and I think the two things which we really need to happen, as far as I can see, are better devices need to come into the marketplace. The operators need to look at fixed rate data pricing so that people will actually use the mobile web, and then after that it's a question of educating the advertisers that mobile's the great new thing which they should be trying.
Right, and what do you think are the most important present and emerging trends in the mobile marketing sort of
Well,
sector?
if you look at it globally, I mean the big thing has been the iPhone really. The iPhone's been fantastic because it makes the mobile web very easy to use. It's normally sold on a fixed rate data package, which means that people aren't afraid to use it anymore, and they often use it over Wi-Fi, which means that they tend to get access faster speeds and everything, so that they really do use it. And if we look at the information which we get from the 10 billion ads which we serve every month, we can see that the iPhone is easily the most popular phone for using the mobile web and applications. And that's the other thing which is happening at the moment, which is the hot news in mobile, is the use of applications, obviously pioneered by Apple, who've just announced that last week that they've had their 2 billionth download, so it's really taken off. I mean, I think it was interesting the fact that it took them about 18 months to announce the first billion and only 5 months to announce the second billion. So it really is happening, and that leaves great opportunities that open for marketers. We already serve a couple of billion ads in apps every month, which means that we're making a lot of money for application developers as well as publishers on the mobile web.
And what level is the development of the mobile marketing in Central and Eastern Europe compared to the leaders in this field, such as Western Europe and the States? Obviously.
Sure. I think it's still early days. I would say that I was actually exchanging some emails with my colleagues about this afternoon and saying, it feels like Western Europe did perhaps 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, in terms of the development of the mobile web. I mean, obviously publishers need to come on board and make the content available. Operators need to do their job of making it accessible through fixed rate data packages again, and obviously advertisers need to be aware. So I think 2 to 3 years behind Western Europe. But I think from the people I've talked to here, there's a lot of interest, and we can certainly see the mobile on the horizon. And I was saying that one of the things which we should be doing as a company is having a greater presence here next year, because I can see that it's exciting and it's going to happen. And it's just a question of leaving it for a little bit as everything else happens.
Right. So you do believe there is room for a bigger presence of AdMob, let's say, in Bulgaria?
Yes, undoubtedly. I mean, we already do have a presence here, in as much as if we sign up a mobile web publisher in Germany or the UK, the chances are that they're going to have some Bulgarian or Romanian or Turkish traffic, as an example. And I did some analysis before I came here, and we already serve about 200 million ads every month in Central Eastern Europe already. And that's really without us trying to come into the marketplace. As far as I'm aware, I'm the first person who's ever been here on business as such. So there's already the demand for it. And in Bulgaria itself, we're probably serving about 2 million ads every month as well. So, for us, that's quite small. It's about, in terms of regional presence, it's about 1.9% of our total network, which is over 10 billion ads a month. But I can see there's a lot of potential here and a lot of interest, so it's pretty exciting times.
So do you think that an event such as Webit would facilitate maybe AdMob stepping on the market long term and opening an office and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, what we tend to do is we tend to kind of open offices when we've done the business. So, as an example, our head office for Europe is London, where most of the business is transacted. only now we're talking about opening perhaps in Southern Europe as an office. So I would say, first of all, we would try and do business remotely. At the end of the day, we're only a few hours away from London here anyway.
Yeah.
And then when the business justifies it, we'll certainly put somebody in market as the regional director or possibly as a country manager, depending on what made it sense at the time.
Right, so you're looking to more or less do it regionally as opposed to country by country?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to look at the world in terms of 4 regions. That's kind of quite an American concept, I suppose.
Right, yeah.
But on the other hand, a lot of our heritage comes from Europe as well. We've always had a presence in Europe from day one, although we're an American Silicon Valley-backed company. So our priorities in the European region at the moment this year are focused very much on the UK and the other 4 markets, Germany, France, Spain and Italy. Next year I think is going to be the time when we start looking at starting to build more of a presence in Central and Eastern Europe.
Right, and in which areas of the mobile marketing do you expect to see the greatest growth over next year or 2, let's say?
Well, I think when mobile marketing first started out, I mean, we talked very much about sort of push marketing. So we started talking about sending SMS alerts to people's phones, MMS alerts. And I think that role won't disappear. It'll change to become more of a customer relationship management thing. So my plane's late, my bank's just had a transaction which it's not sure about and wants to tell me about it. That kind of functionality where you're adding value to the consumer, but in a sense that you're already your customer. And I think the big shift which we've seen in the last 3 to 5 years away from that has been towards pull marketing, so advertising on the web in the same way as we've got the PC, but you can actually do a lot more these days on new devices like iPhone, obviously we've been talking about, but also Android has got incredible functionality in comparison to the handsets around only a couple of years ago. You can do a seamless experience of touching on a banner to go and see a preview of a movie as an example, or indeed even touch on a banner to go and initiate a click-to-call inquiry to where's my nearest dealer, or make a test drive for a car as an example. Those are the kind of things people are using already in more development markets, and we'll certainly see those techniques applying in this area too.
Yeah, because obviously, when the iPhone came out, it was, revolutionary concept and everything, and, it was just about a matter of time before the rest of the mobile companies followed and, created similar products. So would that be the most kind of, the easiest way, like the easiest model of phone, sort of the most convenient to use for, mobile marketing, or would it be something else maybe? Or
I think the iPhone points the way to the future, and it's certainly the most sophisticated device which we have available today, which shows what interaction with advertising might be like in the future. Android is giving it a good run for its money, and we track huge amounts of data through our network, because we can tell every time we serve an ad, we can tell what phone it's on. And what we know is that iPhone users are much more likely to be on the web in the first place, engage in advertising, and engage in that conversation which you need as an advertiser to start with. Early signs promising for Android as well, and obviously we've got other candidates in the background, such as the BlackBerry and the Palm, and let's not write off old Nokia, who have still got 40% share of the market worldwide, and I think they're developing as well. So yes, but I think the iPhone today shows the future more than any other device available.
Right, and do you think there are opportunities for the companies in the area of mobile marketing in Europe that haven't yet taken the advantages of, sort of the innovations that we see over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, I think my impressions of today's conference is that people are still exploring digital media generally, or PC media, and I think the big opportunity is for them to start looking at mobile as well. At the end of the day, one of the things which I'm very interested in is what comes next after the PC, and there is a possibility that we actually might be heading into a I think the iPhone is the typical example of that. You can almost use it like you can a laptop, and what's missing is a better keyboard and a larger interface sometimes. With the new generation of some of the phones coming out, not necessarily the iPhone, you've got the ability to project onto a bigger screen the image from your device. So that kind of gets rid of the need for a larger screen, and then we just need a better way of interfacing via the keyboard. So I think that's an interesting opportunity, and also in developing countries, I think the phone itself as a primary way of interacting with the digital media is going to be bigger than the PC anyway. It'll almost leapfrog it. Now I'm talking about markets like Indonesia and India, but who knows where the middle markets, if you like, such as Bulgaria, Romania might end up. I mean, you might actually find that the PC becomes less important quicker than the phone. So it's very important that mobile becomes central on the agenda pretty quickly, and I think we'll see that happen in the next year or so.
Yeah, in Bulgaria, there's mobile phones are probably around twice, even 3 times the number of people living in the country, because certain people have got 2, even 3 phones.
Yeah.
It's got a lot to do with the kind of a status, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, hope they use it, for more constructive things in the future. But those free phones that certain people have. But anyway, what opportunities do you see for the interactive agencies in Central and Eastern Europe?
Well, I think the world's their oyster, really. I mean, the mobile web and web applications, mobile web applications are a huge opportunity, and while we're currently meeting our demand for advertising from mainly outside the region, so it's global advertisers wanting to reach Bulgarian citizens as an example, the 2 million ads we serve every month, or the 195 million we serve in the whole region, that advertising demand is being met outside the region. So the opportunity really is for companies within the region to start taking advantage of it. We had a very similar example. Indonesia has always been a huge market for us. Probably we serve over 1 billion ads every month there now. And 6 months ago, it was all being served outside the region, outside Indonesia. And we sent a team down there to get local advertisers interested in. Now practically 95% of advertisers are coming from within Indonesia. They've woken up to the power, which is actually literally on their doorstep. And I think we'll see that happen in places like Bulgaria too.
Right, and do you think, obviously Google is the leader in online business and advertising and everything else. What is Google doing in terms of targeting, mobile marketing? Are they having any innovative products or ideas how to, facilitate that kind of transfer from, traditional media to, more mobile and online based?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent you have to ask Google what their plans are, but what I would say is where we're philosophically a little bit different from Google is that they try and they suggest that basically if you transfer an ad from a PC straight onto a full web browser, iPhone or phone, such as iPhone or Android, you don't need to do anything else. That's, I think, it may be true at some point in the future, maybe 2 or 3 years down the line, but today it doesn't work. Right. The reason why is because, the biggest reason why is lots of PC interactive websites are built in Flash, and Flash doesn't work on the majority of phones today. There was an announcement by Adobe earlier on in the week, but it won't include the iPhone, so that's a big problem. So if you built with Flash on your PC, it won't show up properly. But secondly, there are other very subtle but important differences if you're a mobile specialist. As an example, for instance, the developers these days have forgotten that it takes some time for pages to load outside of a broadband environment. If you're trying to load a page up designed for the PC over an operator network, it's going to be very slow to load, which means by the time people have looked at it, they'll probably got bored and they're off, which in an interactive advertising point of view is really, really bad news, because you paid for the engagement, the click, but they never actually see what you wanted to sell them in the first place. And there's other things like, in mobile there has to be a very specific call to action. You can't just present them with a whole screen full of stuff. You have to say, right, if we're advertising insurance, it has to be, you have to drag them into the car insurance to get them a quote. Should you use click to call as an example, which is a very prevalent technique in mobile but doesn't exist on the PC. So the smart advertisers have already figured out that if you're going to advertise on a mobile, you have to treat it as a separate channel. It's related, it's all digital, but you can't just take one ad and put it straight onto a mobile, because it won't work.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I guess that's the problem with Nokia phones. I mean, when you use, even a wireless, just a wireless connection, it still loads much slower than it's supposed to, and that's because of, exactly what you've said. So, does your company plan any kind of innovations over the next couple of years that, probably people will be interested in hearing? Maybe if you can give us a little sneak peek.
Yeah, I mean, we're still very much wedded to the next generation of phones. iPhone, Android is very interesting in terms of its early adoption, and we still see an important future for applications on phones as well. At the end of the day, consumers have voted with their feet. They like to download applications to their phones, and I think it's partly because it's easy to do it. It's a low-risk way of trying out a product, and at the end of the day, there's something about owning something rather than buying a service. Let's say, if you sell somebody the game, I think they like to own the game, not just have the rights to use the game. That might change again in the future, but certainly I see that applications are really important going forward, and certainly for the iPhone, which is the leader in this space.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the interview.
Okay. Thank you very much, Stephen. Bye bye.
Thank you.